So real integrity is doing the right thing knowing that nobody is watching you. Thank you, sir. Your enthusiasm and spirit rekindles a spark in all of us to work till we achieve perfection. But few are those who tread the sunlight path. Only the pure in soul can walk in light. Quotes Sri Aurobindo in Savitri. I take immense pleasure in introducing today's keynote speaker, Dr. Archana Chaudhari ma'am, whose remarkable contributions have already inspired many souls. Ma'am has completed her MBBS and MD Internal Medicine from Government Medical College, Nagpur. She has also completed her Masters in Research Methodology from McMaster University, Canada. She retired as professor and head of the Department of Medicine after an illustrious career at Grant Medical College, Mumbai. Apart from her profession, her areas of interest are Rabindra Sangeet, arts, literature, and intuitive education, especially for children. She is a staunch believer of Sri Aurobindo's All Life is Yoga. I would like to invite Dr. Archana Chaudhari ma'am to share her thoughts with us. Ma'am, can't wait to hear you speak.
Namaste. My pranam to Sri Aurobindo and the Mother. My heartiest welcome to each and everybody on the days and off the days. I'm really thankful to Honorable Vice Chancellor and the college and the Department of English, Nagpur University, for arranging such a momentous thing. And of course, I'll be falling short if I don't thank Gautamji for making this possible. When I entered the campus and entered this, of course this campus I have now attended, when I passed out from Government Medical College, medical education was still under Nagpur University. After that, it has now gone to the Maharashtra Medical University. So I also belong to this university. And incidentally, it happens that my father also was teaching in one of the colleges in Nagpur University. That apart, so I'm full of emotion because it is such a momentous occasion that we are meeting here, and our university is named as Rashtra Sant Tukadoji Maharaj. Now Tukadoji Maharaj and Gadge Maharaj were the two saints who really were the, I should say, absolute wonders from our land of Vidarbha, of which I am very proud because I am born in Vidarbha. So, and we are talking, or we are trying to think about, at least put our thoughts into someone of transcendental and universal dimensions. A human born and what life he has led, what he has left behind. So about the life in brief of Sri Aurobindo or Aurobindo Ghosh. His life seems to be in phases, at least 3 different phases. The first phase is from birth to completing his education and coming back from England. Aurobindo Ghosh was born as the 3rd child of Dr. Krishnadhan Ghosh and Swarnalatna Devi on August 15, 1872 in the then province of Bengal, which was very large compared to today's West Bengal, in Calcutta. Actually, it happened to be also Janmashtami on that day, that is August 15, 1872. He was the 3rd child. He had 2 elder brothers. Dr. Krishnadhan Ghosh, his father, was a renowned physician, and he was giving services to both the masses and the classes. He was very highly regarded in the province of Bengal, and especially in Calcutta, for his physician's credentials and his capacity to diagnose and treat patients. But as of many many other people at that time, he was also very much anglicized in his lifestyle. So within his family, he adopted all the British culture, all the English anglicized manners and everything. And he wanted his children to grow up in that situation. Considering that point, he put 3 of his sons, that is the elder 2, and Aurobindo, in a convent, which was an English medium school in Darjeeling. When Aurobindo went to that school, he was just 5 years old. He was a very silent boy, very studious, not much interested in physical activities, but very keen on anything and everything that he came across to read. By the time he was 7, Dr. Krishnadhan Ghosh wanted them to study in England. So he took the 3 sons and put them in under the care of Mr. and Mrs. Dwight in London, so that they can have totally English education and develop in a British culture. They started, the elder 2 went to school, but because Aurobindo was still not of that age to go to school, the foster parents started teaching him at home. They had a library, and to their surprise, they found that this boy, this brown boy from India, was so studious, he surpassed any other boy in their village. He finished every book in the library, and he was ready to go to school. Thereafter, he was sent to school, and from there, with a brilliant career, gaining many fellowships and scholarships, he went to King's College, Oxford, Cambridge. Again, he was full of his, this thing was extremely brilliant, very silent, so that the classmates used to tease him. "Oh, brown boy, what are you doing sitting in the corner?" He said, "Okay, take the book and ask me anything." And they would be surprised that he was reading anything from the book. So finally they said, "Okay, this brown boy has to be left alone and not to be messed up with." So that was there. At the same time, Dr. Ghosh wanted one of his sons to complete the administrative service examination, that is ICS in those days. Because Aurobindo was the most brilliant one, and the other 2 elder brothers were not very willing to take up the ICS course, so Aurobindo was put into the task. He started studying the ICS curriculum apart from his routine curriculum at King's College, Cambridge. Sometimes these boys had a hardship for money also, because the money did not arrive from India and whatever. In the meanwhile, what was happening, there was a group in London consisting of Indians who were based there, and they were organizing secret meetings. Their group was called as Lotus and Dagger, and Aurobindo happened to meet them and used to attend the meetings. Through these meetings, gradually he could understand, or he could get some glimpses of what was happening in his motherland. Miles away, Dr. Krishnadhan Ghosh also was getting some mental transformation, and he also started seeing the other side of the British regime. And the person who was totally anglicized in his ways and manners and lifestyle now started thinking the other way. And his letters were some of the things which started giving some idea gradually to young Aurobindo as to what was the situation. Because see, he had left his motherland at the age of 7. Meanwhile, ICS examination came. He was one of the toppers. But by then his mind was so much set that he is not going to join the British ICS service, and he would return back to his motherland, not becoming an ICS. But the beauty is that he did not want to defy his father openly. So the last thing that the ICS candidate had to do was a test of horse riding. And he thought that if he does not go for the horse riding thing, then he will be naturally disqualified. And unbelievably, they asked him to come for the horse riding test 3 times, his preceptor finally wrote to the government or the ICS committee that if such a brilliant candidate is not given the ICS header, then I suppose British regime will not stay for very long to control India. What a prophecy it was. In England, when with social circles and all that, Aurobindo Ghosh came across Sayajirao Gaikwad, the Prince of Baroda. Sayajirao Gaikwad, had a keen eye for judging a talent. Immediately he spotted Aurobindo as one of the persons who could be for him. He offered him a job in Baroda as a manager of his estate. Aurobindo readily agreed because he had nothing in hand, so he agreed. He wanted to return, so he booked this thing in a ship and he wanted to return. The message reached Calcutta to his parents, and father was very happy, my Auro is coming back. As bad luck would have it, that ship met with a disaster. And Dr. Krishnadhan Ghosh, because of this sad news, died of a massive heart attack. But the good luck was that, good part of that, Aurobindo had not boarded that ship. So he came in the other ship and he reached 1893, February 6. Aurobindo Ghosh, totally an Englishman, 20 years and few months old, head to toe an Englishman, knowing a few Indian languages but not able to speak a single Indian language, while he was master of around 8 European languages. His steps on the Apollo Bandar and steps on the soil of his motherland. And what does he realize? He realizes this is not a geographical area. This is Ma, this is mother. Look at the beautiful realization. And till that time and beyond that also, he was an atheist. He did not believe in a God in which way, personal way. This was his realization. And another was, there was a black shadow which was following him from his Darjeeling days. As soon as he landed on the soil of India, that shadow disappeared. Okay. Now comes the second phase of Aurobindo Ghosh. He joins Baroda service as a manager. And a few important things I'd like to say. Whatever salary he got, he had a very nice apartment to himself. There was a ball on the table in the living room. He would put all the money there, only taking away some money for his books. And every month there'd be a big packet of books coming for him. And rest of the money was just there. Anyone could use the money whenever, as and when they required. He was not bothered to calculate, not bothered to do anything. Then he got married also to Mrinalini Devi. Meanwhile, the conditions in India was revolutionary things and many things. Nationalistic movement was taking place. And Aurobindo had a very marked capacity to write. So he was writing in many newspapers like Vande Mataram, Dharma, Arya, and so many things. And every night he would finish one article in one go. And that would irritate, or that would sort of shake the British Empire like anything. They knew that there is the brain behind this, but they could not capture him by any of the things. So that was the thing going on. Sayajirao Gaikwad used to tell him to write his speeches. And sometimes he said, Mr. Ghosh, don't write such high language, very beautiful language. People will know I am not the person who's writing it. So he employed him in his college, where he rose to the rank of vice principal. His students just loved him like anything. But with his tendency to involve himself in the nationalistic movement and other things, he was trying to think, and he was lecturing all through the whole of India. He came to Nagpur also, everywhere, wherever it is. And he thought that it won't be wise to continue with Baroda services because princely states were still linked with the British government. So he thought of resigning from there and come to Calcutta. Meanwhile, what happened? He was also trying to find out the spiritual aspects of life. He was pursuing that. And as destiny would have it, he met a spiritual guru, Vishnu Bhaskar Lele, who promised him to give the experience of nirvana if he was ready. Aurobindo said, yes, I'm ready. So in Baroda, he said 3 days only, within 3 days, that is 72 hours, Aurobindo Ghosh achieved the state of nirvana. Many of you may be surprised to think about it. But you know, integral yoga, other than Sri Aurobindo's yoga, means one begins with nirvana. So, nirvana is something which is so silent, the mind is totally silent. We are all mental creatures, so mind is working very, very fast. So, mind is totally silent, and he had achieved that silence within 72 hours. And according to himself, that silence never left him. So that was the one point which is there, and then he came to Kolkata and joined the National College as a vice principal again. Meanwhile, the nationalistic movement was going on. Then 1905 came when the British government thought that Bengal province has to be divided because, as Gopal Krishna Gokhale said, what Bengal thinks today, India thinks tomorrow. All the things were happening in Bengal. People were becoming very agitated with the atrocities of the British government. So these people did not want Bengal province to be divided. In those days, Bengal was a very large province. Today's unified Bengal means you have to include Bangladesh as well, some part of Bihar, some Assam and some Orissa. This was the province where all the revolutionary thoughts were taking birth. So this division was aimed by the British government. People were agitating, even Rabindranath Tagore and everybody who was prominent at that point in time had this, but the division of Bengal happened in 1905. After that, the revolutionary activities started very fast, and there were many things like Khudiram Bose and everything. And in one of the cases, that is Alipur bombing case, Aurobindo Ghosh was taken to jail. One morning, suddenly the police came to his residence and with a warrant that he is to be immediately arrested. He was arrested and put into jail, Alipur jail. I told you that he till then was an atheist. He was so agitated, he was fighting, quarreling with God. Yes, God, if you are there, then show me that you are there. I was doing such a good work and you have brought me here, put me in the 10 by 10 cell with nothing to do, no books allowed. What did he have? His 2 big baskets covered with tar for his daily excretion and 2 blankets. That's all, no books allowed. Gradually that calm came to him, descended to him. And if the Bhakta called, Bhagavan also came. So he had the realization of Vasudeva. He started feeling that everything is Vasudeva. So he had realized the silent, that is silent state of nirvana, and now he is seeing the universal Vasudeva, God, everywhere. There is no cell now. The cell is only surrounded by Vasudeva. When he sleeps on the blanket in the summer, he has got the embrace of Vasudeva. The sentry is Vasudeva. The tree in front of the cell is Vasudeva. His mind comes down and suddenly he becomes very quiet. One incident I'll tell you. During this Alipur, this thing, many things have happened. It's a real beautiful story. If somebody is interested, you can read as Kara Kahini, that is prison story. By that, Vivekananda, who had left his body in 1902, he continued to teach him in a different plane, Raj Yoga, for nearly 2 weeks. So Aurobindo had that sort of education in 5-HG. Once he came out, and of course, meanwhile when this happened, his case was being pleaded or by a barrister who was very renowned in those days, Chittaranjan Das. Now Chittaranjan Das, when he came to take up Aurobindo's case, one thing I just mentioned, I did not mention, after realizing this Vasudeva, his mind was so silent that he thought, now I am not going to, my mind is now no more active, I am not going to think. So he waited for Adesh, that is the divine decree. So whatever Adesh came, he would follow that. I'll give you later some examples. So divine Adesh came that this is the man who's going to take you out of this jail, so you don't have to give him any documents, don't have to, unless you ask questions, you don't do anything. And lo, what happened? He, on the last day of judgment, when of course C.R. Das was very hopeful that he will be released, what C.R. Das said is just extremely prophetic. He says, the man who is standing here in the British court is not standing in the court of England, but he's standing before the court of humanity long after he is dead and gone. His voice will echo and re-echo across the oceans and the lands, and there will be many, many, many people who will be benefited by that, because he is a patriot by this thing, and he is also a lover of humanity. He was released from jail, he comes out totally a changed person. An atheist has now become totally a God man. God man in the sense, not in the typical sense, but he is now realized divine everywhere. What he finds, that the condition in which he left Bengal and India or Bharat has changed. The revolutionary fire, which was very good, very sharp, has damped it down. So now he waits for Adesh. One Adesh comes, go to Chandanagar. In those days, Chandanagar was a French territory. Now, even though he is released, but British government knows that he has a mastermind and he is to be followed. It's intensive. So Adesh comes, go to Chandanagar, and Adesh means it is to be followed. Within 1 hour, with his trunk, he lands on the ghat of Hooghly to get a boat to Chandanagar. Again, many, many such Adesh came, and finally he landed in Pondicherry, which was again a French territory, on April 4, 1910. Imagine a person coming in 1893, 6th of February, a totally English man, and 1910, totally transformed after 13 years of Baroda service and a little this thing in National College, Kolkata. Now he lands in Pondicherry, a transformed man, almost without any assets, almost without any finances. With him there are 4 other people who have also later on came. In Pondicherry in those days, can you imagine, almost no, very little lighting at night, means where very few people might have electricity as well. So mostly it was the classical, that lanterns and candles and whatnot, and most of the this thing would become absolutely without human this thing. So it can be said nistabda and nishabda. Nobody was willing to give them anything to stay because they were afraid British police will come. Finally, they get a place, which is Shankaracharya's house. What is this house? A rooftop. A big house in the ground floor. There is a rooftop, there are pillars and a thatched roof. That's all. There he puts up. He has a small typewriter. Every night in that dim light, he types an article. He sends that sort of application. Nothing can deter him from whatever he wants to do. They live there and continue to do their work with a very great difficulty. And they have almost no finances, so difficult situations come. The mother joined, first time the mother, that is Madame Alpha Samira, came from France. That's a different story, I'll not narrate into that. First time she came in 1914, she went back again and finally came in 1920. So from that time, she becomes a spiritual collaborator. So you see, from education to the other thing, now it's become the spiritual thing. So to understand it this way, we have agam, that is the potential, and we have something called as nikam, which we are going to manifest. So the whole life is supposed to be being to becoming. We have a being, which is a potential being, and we have to manifest. That becomes the kinetic or the